Raiders fan.
Yes.
And now Tom Brady in the ownership group, who's also a mentor of Shedeur Sanders. Do you wish the Raiders would have drafted Shedeur?
Yeah, I do. I do wish we would have got Prime's son. But look, here's my theory on why he went in the 5th round. Because anybody who drafted him may have been drafting the player that would get him fired. Because Prime Time want to coach his son in the NFL. So if there was a bad season, that coach should be gone. And Prime would be the coach. They was drafting in their best interest to keep their job.
Ice Cube didn't mince words when he laid out his theory on why Shedeur Sanders slid all the way to the 5th round in the NFL draft. And it had nothing to do with talent. According to Cube, NFL coaches were straight up scared to draft him because of one reason: his father, Deion Sanders. Not scared of Shedeur's game, scared of Deion's shadow. See, Deion isn't just a Hall of Famer or a college coach. He's a cultural force, a media magnet, and a guy who speaks his mind without filters. That kind of presence in the orbit of your rookie quarterback? It's intimidating for NFL coaches and general managers who like control, silence, and predictability. Ice Cube suggested that teams worried about what might happen if things went sideways. If Shedeur didn't start right away, would Deion speak out? If the system wasn't tailored to his son's strengths, would Prime Time stir the pot publicly? That fear, real or imagined, may have been enough for NFL front offices to push Shedeur down their boards. Because in this league, you're not just drafting a player, you're drafting everything around him. And in Shedeur's case, that includes father, who's built like a brand and isn't afraid to use it. On paper, Shedeur Sanders checks nearly every box you want in an NFL quarterback. His stats at Colorado were elite. Over 3,200 yards in just 10 games, 27 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. That's precision. That's poise. And that's doing it all behind one of the worst offensive lines in the country, a unit that gave up more sacks than any other Power 5 team. Yet somehow, Shedeur still balled out. His pocket awareness, decision-making, and arm strength aren't just good, they're NFL ready. But here's the catch: perception often outweighs performance. And for Shedeur, the perception got complicated. Because when you're Deion Sanders' son, people assume you're spoon-fed, that you're hyped because of your name, that you haven't had to grind like the rest. So instead of being celebrated as a top-tier talent, Shedeur's draft stock became a debate. Was he that good? Or was he just riding the Colorado media wave? Was he a legit first-rounder or a product of Coach Prime marketing? These aren't talent questions, they're narrative questions. And in the NFL, narratives can stick harder than film. When your dad is Deion Sanders, the spotlight isn't just bright, it's blinding. Every snap Shedeur Sanders takes, every decision he makes on and off the field, happens under a magnifying glass. Deion's charisma, fame, and bold personality mean that anything connected to him becomes national news. And Shedeur? He's not just connected, he's the centerpiece of the primetime narrative. That comes with perks, sure. More eyes, more endorsements, more buzz. But it also comes with pressure that most young quarterbacks never face. Every mistake he makes becomes a headline. Every success gets dissected to see if it was him or his last name. NFL teams know this. They know drafting Shedeur doesn't just bring in a quarterback. It brings in a media machine, cameras at training camp, interviews asking about his dad instead of the playbook, questions about nepotism. Fair or not, it creates noise. And in a league that thrives on routine, control, and keeping distractions to a minimum, that kind of noise can be a deal breaker. Shedeur's talent is undeniable, but in the NFL, sometimes the noise around you can be louder than your game. The NFL runs on control. Front offices, coaching staffs, and owners want players who fall in line, Say the right things, show up, work hard, and don't rock the boat. It's a league built on hierarchy. Do your job is practically a sacred mantra. But Shedeur Sanders doesn't fit neatly into that mold. He represents a new generation of athletes, confident, vocal, and unafraid to leverage their brand. Shedeur isn't just playing football, he's building an identity. NIL deals, luxury cars, custom watches. He's living a life that looks more like an NBA star than a traditional college quarterback. And that's the rub. The NFL isn't used to quarterbacks like this coming out of college. They're used to the quiet grinder, not the guy on Instagram flexing his lifestyle. And while that confidence might inspire younger fans, it can make NFL front offices nervous. Is he focused on football? Will he listen to coaching? Will he put team first? These are the whispered questions. Not because Shedeur's done anything wrong, but because he doesn't play by the old-school rulebook. In truth, the league isn't just evaluating his arm. They're evaluating whether they can manage him. And that reveals a deeper discomfort. The NFL isn't ready for players who aren't just athletes. They're brands. Deion Sanders is more than a coach. He's a cultural force. Coach Prime turned Colorado football into a national spectacle overnight. He brought cameras, celebrities, confidence, and controversy. And at the heart of that revolution was his son, Shedeur Sanders. To some, it's the perfect story. Father mentoring son, raising his profile, giving him the tools and stage to shine. But to NFL scouts and execs, it's complicated. There's a perception, right or wrong, that Deion's presence overshadows Shedeur's growth, that he's insulated his son from criticism, that the program was built around Shedeur, not a team. And that creates questions. Has Shedeur been challenged the way NFL quarterbacks need to be? Has he been held accountable? Can he thrive in a locker room where his dad isn't in charge? Fair or not, teams worry, because in the league, coaches aren't interested in family dynamics. They're interested in results. And the idea that Shedeur might bring Deion's larger-than-life energy with him to the pros, that's either a bonus or a risk. It all depends on how you see Coach Prime, mentor, motivator, or megaphone, and whether Shedeur can step out of that shadow and stand on his own. Let's make one thing clear: NFL-level arm. His decision-making, especially under duress, stands out. He doesn't panic. He processes. In a chaotic Colorado offense that often failed to protect him, Shedeur still delivered. But here's the reality. Talent alone doesn't guarantee a smooth ride to the NFL. Scouts will pore over every throw, every missed read, every sack taken, asking, can this guy run an NFL offense? Some will knock him for holding the ball too long. Others will say he's a system QB who benefited from playing under his dad. And then there's the level of competition. Some question how he'd fare behind a worse line, in a pro-style scheme, against elite defenses every week. It's not that he's not talented, it's that the NFL wants proof. Proof he can lead, adapt, and perform in a league where windows are tighter and pressure is relentless. So the debate isn't, is Shedeur good? It's, is he NFL ready right now? And that question will define everything about his draft stock in 2025. The media machine surrounding Shedeur Sanders is unlike anything we've seen for a college quarterback in years. Social media, YouTube vlogs, merch drops, it's all curated, all intentional. Every move he makes is content. Every throw a viral moment. But with that spotlight comes skepticism. Traditionalists in the NFL world look at the cameras, the sunglasses, the flashy watches, and they bristle. To them, it's style over substance, a distraction. They wonder, is Shedeur chasing clout or championships? Fair or not, media narratives can shape a player's perception. For every fan who sees confidence, there's a GM who sees ego. For every headline praising his poise, there's a think piece questioning his focus. The truth probably lives somewhere in the middle. Shadur grew up in this media-saturated world. He knows how to build a brand, but he's also been grinding, studying tape, and showing up in big moments. The system he's up against isn't just the NFL. It's the gatekeeping culture of the league, one that doesn't always know how to handle a QB who moves like a CEO. So the real question is, can the NFL catch up to where Shadur already is? Or will it try to force him into its outdated mold? Being Shedeur Sanders means carrying a last name that echoes through the history of football. Deion "Primetime" Sanders isn't just a Hall of Famer, he's a cultural icon. And with that legacy comes a double-edged sword. On one side, it opens doors. Shedur's rise was amplified by his father's spotlight, his connections, and his platform. But on the other side, expectations. Immense, crushing expectations. When your dad is one of the greatest athletes ever, good isn't good enough. Every mistake is magnified. Every success is measured against a legend. Shadur doesn't just play for himself. He plays for a brand, for a legacy, for a family name that demands excellence. And he knows it. You can see it in how he carries himself. Calm, composed, always aware of the pressure without ever seeming rattled by it. But legacy is tricky. It's not just about honoring the past, it's about carving out something new. And for Shadur, the challenge isn't living up to Deion's name. It's building a name of his own, in his own way, under the same blinding spotlight. To talk about Shedeur Sanders without talking about race is to ignore a critical layer of the story. The quarterback position has long been policed by stereotypes, quietly and overtly. For decades, Black quarterbacks were seen as athletic, not cerebral, leaders by talent, not by intellect. Even today, when a Black QB scrambles, it's labeled instinctual. When a white QB does it, it's crafty or tactical. The biases run deep. Shadur steps into this landscape with a different energy. He's not trying to fit the mold. He's reshaping it. He's sharp, media-savvy, vocal, confident, and unapologetically himself. But with that comes pushback. The critiques of his attitude, his style, his confidence. These are just football takes. They're often dog whistles. Because when a young Black quarterback shows too much swagger, it's cocky. When he protects his image and controls his narrative, it's selfish. The same behaviors that earn praise for others become red flags for him. But Shedur's presence matters beyond wins and draft stock. He represents a new era, one where young Black QBs don't have to downplay their confidence to be taken seriously, where they can be leaders, brands, and game changers without compromise. In many ways, he's not just playing for himself or his father. He's playing to expand the idea of what a quarterback can look like, act like, and sound like in the NFL. Shedeur Sanders isn't just chasing stats. He's chasing a legacy, redefining what it means to be a quarterback. Whether he goes top 10 or not, he's already changed the conversation. And if you're into stories that go beyond the scoreboard, where culture, family, and confidence, that's where you want to go, and identity collide with football, this is just the beginning. Like what you heard? Tap that subscribe button and stay locked in with Kat for more bold takes and deep dives.